Hey guys, it's Alix.
And Kayla.
And we're married, not related, definitely codependent.
But in a cute way. And
we're back.
Are so excited that you're here. We are back.
We've got another queer culture episode for you guys today, which is exciting.
But before we dive in, you know that I have to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who's commenting on Spotify. The other day, Alix was on her phone. I was like, what are you doing? Get off your phone. And you're like, I'm looking at her Spotify comments.
I actually read all of them. They were so nice.
Yeah. So please keep doing that. It's super fun for us. And also, if you love this episode, if you want to try to convince somebody to watch L Word who's been protesting it, send this to them. Maybe this will convince them. Or just leave us a review and tell us how wonderfully amazing we are.
If you're queer and you haven't watched L Word yet, I mean,
what are you doing?
What are you doing with all your free time? Tell me.
But before we get into L Word,
it's my turn to lead.
And I'm scared. I always get nervous.
Well, we're going to be doing a Would You Rather L Word edition.
Okay.
Which is going to be really fun.
Yeah, our dog is squeaking her Lammy in the background.
Hopefully so you can't hear that.
That's why you're laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so would you rather?
Yes.
Dress like Alice or have Shane's haircuts?
Oh my God. That is so hard.
They're both pretty equally bad.
And by the way, we're talking about OG L Word. We're not talking about Generation Q.
No. We're talking like 04 L Word.
Oh my God. Am I Shane, or like, is it the haircut on me as Kayla?
Yes.
Okay, that's even. Then the outfits.
You're going to go with Alice's fashion?
Yeah.
Jenny used to just like rag on her hardcore because her fashion was so bad.
I mean, Shane's haircuts were bad on her and she's essentially a model. Imagine that haircut on me.
No, it was so bad.
So
amazing.
Bad.
Okay. Would you rather marry Alice or marry Tasha?
Oh, that's hard.
Both two of our favorites on the show.
Does Alice not want kids though?
Well, it's interesting because in the OG L Word, she said that she did want kids.
Yeah.
But then in Generation Q, she doesn't have any kids.
And she seems kind of
does not want them around.
And annoyed around them. So that would be a deal breaker for me if they didn't want kids. Yeah, I think Tasha. Like, Alice would be such a fun friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I would choose her over Shane, as we've talked about, I think, before in another Your Turn to Lead game. But Tasha is chef's kiss.
Yeah, she's amazing. Okay, would you rather have come out in 2004, which is when the show launched, or come out in 2025 now?
Would we still be together just like I was in the closet the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
If we could still be together, then... Well, I guess, no, I would rather come out in 2024 or 2004 because then I would have been able to date other girls before meeting you.
Yeah. I guess it's like, would you rather be like age 22 in 2004 and 2025? Like all of the rights and everything have changed so much. I think that's really what I meant by it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously coming out later, right now, we have a lot more rights, but it's more of just like the experience. If I was in LA in that kind of bubble that they were in, even though they were still facing adversity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have rather had that experience.
Me too. Okay. Would you rather hang out at the Planet or hang out at Hit nightclub?
The Planet. That's not even a question.
Okay, I agree with you.
I mean, if this was 2004, then it would have been the nightclub. But if we're talking about Grandma Kayla,
we want to be at the Planet.
I want to try the food.
Would you rather be Jenny in the sense that you have a career as a writer and a director, or be Alice, a talk show host?
Oh, don't make me say I want to be Jenny. You're just doing this to get this
what I wanted
recorded,
to hear you say.
just to be like, haha, you're Jenny.
Exactly.
So no, I'm going to choose Alice.
But I know that's not your route.
Whatever.
It's not your truth. Okay. And my last one for you is, would you rather be Helena and always wondering if people only love you because of your money, or be Shane and not be able to be in a long-term healthy relationship?
Helena. Because it's like if I knew, like, Helena is a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just work on that of like knowing and trusting that I am a good enough person. People won't only love me because of my money.
Yeah.
But that would suck to never be in a relationship.
Also, you can meet someone who's also really rich potentially.
That too.
And not be
and you
worried
could
about
also
it.
just stop trying to pay for everyone's affection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Those
that was
were
fun,
good.
right?
Those were good.
Great.
Little taste tester before we dive in.
Yeah. So we said that today's queer culture episode, we're talking about L word.
OG L word.
First of all, I just have to say, we've only done a couple queer culture eps, right?
Yeah.
But they're really fun.
Yeah.
I really like them. And
really, because last time you were stressing out
Was
about
I?
the bi girls versus lesbians.
yeah, I
were
was
so
stressed.
scared.
I just was like, I was worried about how the people would react.
You
But I
didn't-
think you guys are going to be amazing. So I'm over it.
And
And
short-term memory.
exactly.
I'm over it.
And L word is so iconic,
Yeah.
which is part of why we're talking about it. But, you know, this show launched in 2004, which is a really interesting time in the country, which we're going to get into later. But it was the first mainstream TV show to ever focus on a group of lesbian and bisexual women, which it's just a big cultural moment for us. We got a mainstream TV on Showtime.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Mainstream and a major network.
Major
with
network
a
on
high
Showtime.
production value, too. You know, this wasn't like a
Yes.
Lifetime movie or something.
And we got 6 seasons of it. So
It's not enough.
We got a big investment in this show.
Not enough.
And it was big at the time,
Yeah.
for sure. But I would say, you know, it's, for me, we've had like a few kind of mainstream, like big network shows for the queers, but this is the one for the lesbians, for the bi girls. It's for the queer girls out there.
Yeah.
And so I'm really
because
excited to
other
talk
than
about it.
offshoots of L word, like the real L word and Generation Q, have there been other all lesbian shows?
No.
Not that I know of.
There's been more like queer shows, or there's been like gay guy shows. Like there was the one in SF on HBO, like the Lookout.
I don't know
like that.
what you're talking about.
It was about a group of guys in SF.
Oh yeah.
And that was on HBO.
We tried to watch it, but I couldn't get
I watched
into
it. It's
guys.
really good.
You said it was good.
But there's something about
the girlies.
the way that this satisfies the soul, because it really taps into lesbian culture in a way that I really identify with, partly because I was coming out when the show was airing. And so just like I really connect to that era. But
even if you weren't, it's like, because I wasn't, and it feels like one of those comforts. Like everyone has comfort shows. People are talking about Gilmore Girls in the fall. They're talking about Friends and all of these, you know, just like iconic staple shows. That's what L word is to me.
It's
I put it on and it's a hug.
It's like the
from my
lesbian
gay
show, like that Friends was for the straights.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk about this because obviously it has had a huge impact on us and the whole queer community, but also we want to contrast where we were then and where we are now, because a lot's changed in the last 20 years since the show aired. And it's so interesting because a lot of people today, a lot of queers today, say that they won't watch it because it's offensive or problematic in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Even because we had asked Lex, our producer, if she'd seen it yet. And she's like, oh, should I watch it though? Like I've heard I forget the word she used, but I think she said problematic. She's like, I've heard it's like it's kind of offensive or something. And we're like, okay, there are definitely things in there that are wrong, right? The same way that when you watch back anything from that era, you'll be like, I can't believe we thought that was okay to say, let alone wear or
do
any of it. It's like, but that's how media works, where it like is this little time capsule that shows you what was acceptable at that point of time. And it's like watching it isn't condoning that behavior.
No.
If anything, you're able to see the contrast even more clearly of like, whoa, things have changed a lot. Because
that was my biggest takeaway in rewatching it, is so much has changed in the last 20 years in a way that I could never have predicted. So much happened, like, honestly, in a span of like 3 to 5 years for the queers. Like, when I came out in 2009, we'll get into all of this. It's like, there was no gay marriage. And then you fast forward a couple years later, and it's like, now there's gay marriage. And all of these rights have advanced. And it's kind of amazing. So when you look back 20 years, the things that they cared about and focused on is totally different than what we're talking about now in the queer community.
Yeah. And I obviously came out later, so I can't relate in that same way. But I do know what it's like to just, when you're inside of an experience, sometimes it's hard to see it changing from inside. You need that kind of like step away to be like, oh shit, yeah, actually, you know, whether it's even with like your own physical appearance or something, like these slow, gradual changes happen. And then you see a picture from 5 years ago, you're like, wait, I did look totally different. But when it's happening slowly, you can't see it as much.
Get old in the last like 5 years?
That's a separate conversation, honey.
I know, it's crazy. Anyways, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm really excited about it.
I would also just say we are obviously fans of the show.
Oh my God.
So we are here to convince you to watch it.
I mean, there's so much to love about it. The characters, they're all so lovable and so diverse, and the storylines are hilarious. The friendships are just amazing, and I don't know, there's so much nostalgia around this show.
Much nostalgia
that I just love.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what was happening back then versus now in terms of queer rights, essentially. So the first thing is that in terms of gay marriage, back in 2004, states were just starting to legalize gay marriage. It was like, I think Massachusetts was the first one in 2004 to legalize gay marriage. And there was this kind of like this 9 to 10 year horizon from 2004 to 2013 where state by state were slowly starting to pass legislation to make that, a state right, if you will. But marriage didn't become federally legal until June of 2015 during the Obama administration, when the Supreme Court overturned it and gave us marriage, which was a huge day. So that was a big change.
Yeah.
And so that was a big theme on the show, is that like, because we didn't have marriage, there was all these other rights that we also didn't have access to. And so, like, for example, parenting.
Yeah.
So different then.
Yeah.
You couldn't have same-sex adoption in most states when the show came out. I think it was really the final state which overturned and allowed same-sex adoption was Mississippi. That didn't happen until 2016.
Yeah.
So that whole kind of like early 2000 to 2010, it was that same thing. States were starting to like allow same-sex adoption, which I didn't even realize.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely didn't realize, because essentially I felt like none of these things affected me, because they didn't. In my mind, I was straight. So I wasn't paying attention as closely. I was also younger. So I think that was part of it too. And I didn't live in the country anymore either. So I was paying even less attention to politics and rights and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's obviously privilege of being able to ignore rights that don't impact you.
Yeah. And we see it a lot through like Bet and Tina's storyline, because first they have a baby using donor sperm, and Bet has to go through the second parent adoption process, which, by the way, we still have to go through today.
Yeah.
Even though today we have parental rights for non-biological parents in same-sex marriages. Yeah. So, for example, like when we have a child, or if you carried a baby and had a child for us, I have the same rights, but I still, just to like be safe, have to go through second parent adoption. Back then, it was even more critical because Bet and Tina, they didn't have the same rights back then.
Well, it's by the way, it's not just if I carry it, even with the surrogate carrying, because they're my eggs, so I have a biological connection to them.
Yeah, and I don't.
Which I pointed out to you, and you're like, no, that's not true. And I was like, I think we should check,
because it's true. In today's laws,
yeah,
I'm still a parent.
Yeah,
and I will be on the birth certificate.
But right? A birth certificate isn't a legal document.
Correct. And so you still want to go through a second parent adoption to like cover all your bases. But
especially when you're leaving the country and,
Yeah. But back then, second parent adoptions were extremely costly, very painful, and not all states allowed second parent adoptions. They lived in California, so they could go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you really see that come up. And then when they try to adopt a baby, they realize that if the birth mom has the baby in Nevada where she lives, they didn't allow same-sex adoption. Yeah. So they had to like think about, how do we get her to come to California to have the baby? There's just a whole different situation from a parenting standpoint.
Yeah. And also the scene when they're in the hospital, because the little girl, once they do have a little girl, she was sick or something, and they're at the front trying to check in and they're like, who's the mother? We both are. And the lady at the front's like, well, the system will only let me put one person in, like only one. We don't literally allow two mothers. The system doesn't even have space for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's.
And she's like, figure it out. We had the baby here. Like, get your act
But
together.
imagine your kid is going to the hospital and
Yeah.
they're like, sorry, only one of you can be a mom today.
Crazy.
You know, and that's 20 years. That's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago. It's kind of amazing when you like think about everything that's changed. And like in touching on all the healthcare, it's like, first of all, we also didn't have visitation rights for our partners because we weren't married.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't, for example, it's like if you were my partner, not only could you not be on my company's insurance plan, but also if you got sick or something, I wouldn't have visitation rights in the hospital.
Yeah.
Which was so sad, which you see on the show as well, like when Dana's going through her cancer treatments.
Yeah.
And they have to like convince her parents to let her partner have visitation rights.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and I mean, I know we'll talk about this too. This is something, it's not to do with rights necessarily, but something that is still consistent in our community, which is that acceptance from family. And it's like Dana's parents struggled with accepting her gayness. They were more conservative. I think she a conservative politician or something? Her mom?
Her mom, yeah.
Yeah. So she was, you know, very conservative and very, what? My perfect, beautiful angel daughter cannot be gay, and image focused and everything. And when she got cancer, when Dana, the daughter, got cancer, then the mom didn't want Dana's partner to be there. And they literally had to be like, she's literally dying, you know? And you're not going to let the person that she's sharing her life with hold her fucking hand while she's dying because of image. And it's like that idea of unaccepting family is obviously still relevant. But what's not relevant is if your family, your blood, tells the doctor, yeah, that person is not on visitation, they're not family, that overrides your relationship. And that part can't happen today, which is
thank God.
Great.
Thank God. And we had no federal protections in terms of employment, housing, or healthcare, which basically means you could legally be fired. You could be denied housing for being gay in most states at that time, which is mind blowing.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, now when I really think back to it and when I was coming out, it was like, no wonder I was so scared to come out at work as well. Like, I remember that was a big deal when I first told a coworker that I was gay. That was a big deal. Yeah. I worked for a very conservative, large corporation, and it wasn't okay essentially to be out. You could be fired for being gay or for being trans, for example.
Well, not only that, but you didn't cut your hair short how it is now until 2021, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And even up until that point, even though, yes, they couldn't fire you and all of these things, but one of the main reasons you hadn't cut it before is because you do work corporate in these pretty conservative, hyper masculine finance roles. And you're like, yeah, I will be treated differently though.
For sure.
You know, it's like, I will be treated differently if this happens. And it is so subtle that you can't really do anything about it. But it's like, that's going to change potentially the trajectory of your career.
Yeah.
By getting a fucking haircut.
It's crazy.
And that was in 2021. But imagine before when, yeah, they could literally fire you for your quote unquote lifestyle.
Your lifestyle. Yeah, exactly. And that obviously applied to the military, right? So the famous don't ask, don't tell policy that happened under the Bush administration.
Which we see in the show.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many queer and trans people who serve in the military. And it's like, if people are willing to put their lives at stake to serve this country, but they're not allowed to be in the military, I don't even understand how that was possible. Literally.
I don't understand why you're not rejoicing at every ounce of help that you get. The fact that anybody is willing to do this is incredible. And that you wouldn't just be like, thank you. Instead, you're like, oh, gross. You know, and it's like, we see that in the show, which is, it felt, even though we lived through this experience, so it's like a younger person than us, especially Gen Z or even like a younger millennial, might not remember that as much. But even living through it and knowing it and remembering it, it still felt strange to watch these kinds of things play out on your screen that were just so normalized.
Mm-hmm.
Where Tasha, the one that I picked in Would You Rather, who is a queen in every way, literally gets kicked out of the military for being gay, for homosexual
just
conduct.
Allegations of homosexual conduct. They couldn't even prove it.
They couldn't even prove it. But
that's
she had to go to a whole trial within the military and everything. And it's like, how you're watching this as if it is a Black Mirror episode. You're like, what? This is, and again, 20 years ago. That's not that long ago. We're not talking about the civil rights era.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago for these kinds of things to be happening.
Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed in 2011. So only 14 years ago. Like, I would say so much has changed even in the last 10 to 15 years. Like, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, 10 especially.
Yeah, the last 10, ever since the Marriage Act was created, so much has happened. So much advancement has happened, which is, for me, it's what gives me hope for the future, is that so much can continue to progress in the next 5-10 years. When you really look back on things, we are moving at a quick speed.
Yeah. And this is, again, why I think, yes, the show is imperfect in the way that, especially, I would say the biggest thing is the trans issue, which we're obviously going to talk about. That is, I would say, the biggest, not political correct, imperfection of the show. Yeah. And downright offensive part of the show.
For sure.
Absolutely. So it's if you're a trans person and you're like, yeah, that's too hard for me to watch, I get it. But when you're talking about everything in the queer movement and in queer rights, it really shows you, like you said, how far we've come, especially when you're inside of it, and even more so in the last 5 years when things have felt so politically and emotionally charged that it feels stressful sometimes and scary every time you're logging on to Instagram and you're seeing these headlines, or just on your phone at all, on Google, you're seeing these headlines about LGBTQ rights being threatened in all of these ways. It feels scary, and it can feel really stressful. And so there is, I don't know, this solace that happens from seeing how far we've come.
Yeah.
And knowing, okay, wait, actually, maybe we aren't moving backward. Because sometimes it does start feeling like that.
It feels
we're
that
moving
way when you
backwards.
feel like you're under attack, when you feel like your rights are under attack. But when you really look at it, it's we have progressed so much. And I think that we'll only continue to advance our rights at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And but I think your point on the trans, topic is really relevant. It's one of the main reasons why people today hate on the show, because of the way that Max was treated specifically on the show, which I think is 100% fair.
Yeah, it was really messed up.
I think, just overall, he was intentionally misgendered throughout the entire time he was on the show.
In a really mean way.
Yes.
It
was in a humiliating way at times.
Yeah, humiliating is the perfect word, where it was just kind of trying to get the reaction
from
and
him.
Very schoolyard, cruel kind of teasing way.
Yeah. He was mocked for even wanting to transition. He was told to stay a butch lesbian.
Yeah.
And I thought you made a really good point about when he started taking testosterone, how he was really demonized for his aggression when he was on testosterone, when he started taking it.
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like they were trying to paint him as ooh, don't, watch out. All the queer girls, don't date a trans guy, even if you like them, because they're going to turn into this raging, abusive psychopath. And then they kind of tapered that storyline out. So I don't know. I don't really know
because
why.
Basically what happened was Max decided he wanted to transition. He had, at the time, there really weren't doctors who were helping people with that, to do that safely. And so he, from a friend, Black Market, got testosterone, didn't know the levels, was taking 5 times as much as he should have been taking. And it was causing, obviously, very severe reactions, causing aggression, causing mood swings. These are hormones we're talking about. Hormones affect everything about your personality.
Yeah.
And then once he realized what was happening, got connected with a doctor, and he was in a kind of a trans support group. And they're oh my God, how do you have any friends left if you're taking that much testosterone? And so they hooked him up with a doctor and sorted it all out. But they but the show like was demonizing him
Yeah.
at that time.
Exactly. To make it seem like he was, you know, like, oh, it's so scary if you're dating somebody who's trans. Like, don't. And so this is the big question that I have that I'm not really clear on, because I think the first time I watched the show, it was probably 2015 or like 2013 or so. So it wasn't in real time. And so I'm not, and I don't remember also my exact reactions when I first watched it, other than like, this is my new favorite show. I'm definitely not gay though. I just love this show about lesbians. But I didn't know, it wasn't clear watching it now. Like, do we have this response about the transness of it all and how poorly it was executed and portrayed because of what we now know and because of trans rights now? Or were they purposely trying to be mean, to be like, oh, see, poor Max? Because he is literally like the sweetest person ever.
He's such a great character. He's so kind.
He's so sweet. I think it was the last
he has
episode.
the strongest morals of anyone on the show.
Anyone, seriously. It's so sweet. They even say it was one of the last episodes of the show. Like, he said something kind of snarky about Jenny, and they're like, I think that's the meanest thing I've ever heard you say. You know, and it wasn't even that bad.
Right.
But it just goes to show that like he was so lovable and so nice. So I'm like, were they painting him as the villain trans person or like the butt of the jokes? Or what, like, were we supposed to sympathize with him back then? That's what I don't know.
It's hard to say. I don't really know. The other thing that I wondered was, you know, he really struggles to integrate with the group, even though they're his friends, but they all kind of make fun of him and they're not that nice to him and they don't really include him and they kind of humiliate him in a lot of ways, and it's really sad. And at first I was wondering, like, what was it more of a class thing? Because Max came from like a small town, I think in Indiana.
Yeah.
And was like more of like a rural kid with, you know, more from poverty.
It started that way, where it was a class thing.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of started that way, but then I don't really know what the show was trying to do with his character, but they did not handle it well, to the point in which in Generation Q that he makes a comeback and Shane apologizes to him, which I thought was really beautiful.
And Shane was the nicest one.
Shane was the nicest one.
Shane was always the one being like him, you know, like correcting the pronouns and by just, I feel like Shane, okay, super shitty partner and girlfriend, but very good friend to everybody. this dog and her squeaky toy.
Our dog is on one today. I'm so sorry, you guys.
But yeah, I also am just like, if you could be, I would say this all the time about Jenny, who was genuinely, oh, honey, the camera almost knocked over. Jenny, who was genuinely a horrible person. I'm like, how could they stay friends with her, but be so mean? Because, by the way, Jenny was also from the Midwest. There was also this class thing happening. But
I know, but then Jenny got rich and got stylish. And
yeah, but Max worked for a tech company. He was an engineer, whatever. Like, he must have been making good ass money too.
He was, yeah.
So it's like they were just being mean to him because he was trans. And this was the reason that it felt like they were trying to portray him as the butt of the joke. I thought especially when they made Max get pregnant. Because I'm not saying it's a joke if a trans guy gets pregnant. I'm sure that does. I know that happens, right? But it was like the way and the writing for it, where it's like he's at the clinic and he's like, yeah, look at me. I'm a pregnant man. Like, it doesn't just happen in the National Enquirer.
Yeah.
And it's like, it felt like they were trying to make it look so ridiculous. Like, haha, look at how ridiculous this is. You know what I mean? It
did, yeah. It was really sad. And
it seemed like a conservative meme.
I read about this a little bit. And first of all, the writer of the show, and who also produced the show, she was a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And the writers did not consult any trans people at the time. So what it says is like Max's arc reflected cisgender anxieties about transition more than the real authentic experiences of the time, which I thought was really interesting.
Like the perceived idea of transness instead of the actual idea of it.
Yeah. And like they were really trying to portray like the struggles as like what straight, you know, people imagined their struggles to be versus like really understanding the trans experience. I think that was interesting.
By the way, is so annoying of a lesbian, because it's like, or any queer person, marginalized, where it's like, you should know what it feels like for someone who's not in your minority group to try to tell the story of your life, who has no lived experience of it. Why the fuck wouldn't you do that better?
Exactly. And so the actor who played Max actually transitioned after they were on the show. And he has spoken about how difficult and isolating that role was, because he was non-binary when he was on the show. But it was before that was really a term. So I forget what he called himself, but now he would say he was like non-binary at the time. And he really talked about how much it really reflected the lack of just trans representation in like TV writing rooms at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just having these like lesbians trying to talk about the trans experience and write about the trans experience. And it just really did not hit.
Yeah. It would be the same way as if a man wrote this show about lesbians, a straight man. It would be the same thing. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I felt like the worst part was when he was pregnant with the whole shower thing, and obviously Jenny was the absolute worst. Like, she is just a mean, horrible person.
Horrible.
And just constantly talking about like,
how beautiful of a mother he is.
Look at, you're such a beautiful mother, and like your breasts look so nice. And it's like, why? Okay, first of all, even if I am a woman, I don't want my friends talking about how beautiful my breasts look ever.
No,
period.
Thank you. No, thank you.
But let alone if you are obviously not happy, not comfortable, not wanting to be in that body that you're in. He already had talked extensively about top surgery.
Well, the reason why he found out he was pregnant is because he went to get top surgery, and they did
urine
a test.
Yeah.
And that's how he found out he was pregnant. So he was already devastated that he couldn't get surgery.
Exactly. And now you're talking about like,
horrible.
It's just
horrible.
And they're like, oh, she's just hormonal. And they're fully still calling him a she, her. At this shower, Shane is the only one being like, guys, stop. Like, that was a hard watch. I felt so bad for Max.
Yeah. That's definitely the hardest. It's the whole Max character. It's the hardest part of the whole show. I will say that they redeemed themselves in Generation Q.
Yeah. Yeah.
With all the various trans storylines, and they handled those a lot better this time around.
Oh my God.
20 years later.
So much better.
Thank God.
And on that same note, I think that this is also interesting, is that in Generation Q, which is we keep talking about it, it's the reboot version of L Word that came out, I think in 2021 or 2020, something like that. And everyone on that show was queer. Whereas in this OG version, I would say not even half of the total actors, because they have a lot of characters coming throughout the 6 seasons. There's actually a lot of people coming and going, but I don't know. It's like even that has changed. Well, I guess except for Bet and Tina are still on Generation Q. But
True.
They were, I guess, kind of like a extension of the first one. But otherwise,
every other person
was queer, which is really nice, I think.
Yeah, it is nice.
You're watching the show and I would be like, is that person really gay? And we'd have to Google it. Usually you could kind of tell.
Yeah.
I feel like Bet seems like a power lesbian. She is a good ass actress. I'm like, are you sure, Bet? Are you sure?
I know. She's good.
But otherwise it would be like, you could kind of tell when they were acting,
I know. Amazing. Okay. And it's so funny because we talked about how this is like the first mainstream show.
Mm-hmm.
But in some ways they still had to play to
the patriarchy,
like the patriarchy and the male gaze in the way that they did the show for it to be successful.
Yeah.
Like every scene, almost every episode, it starts with like a really steamy sex scene.
If not starting, there's always going to be a extensive
in
sex scene.
every single episode.
Yeah. And not just like a little makeout, like it's a full on.
I would say they really did not nail the lesbian deathbed of it all in L Word.
That's what I was thinking about. But then again, a lot of them they weren't, other than Bet and Tina. They did talk about it a little bit with Bet and Tina in the very beginning when they're like, oh, it's been forever. Because they were actually lifelong long-term partners. Everyone else was just kind of dating. So maybe that was why it was different. But yeah, it was, you kind of are wondering as a queer person or a queer woman watching this, you're like, I even asked, I was like, is the writer of this a lesbian or not? Because sometimes it seemed so male gazy.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it is. And then I think it was the 4th or 5th season when they have this like really meta thing happening where Jenny wrote a book that turns into a movie, and that book and movie is the L Word. So it's like showing the movie or showing the show in the show. And that is when it is overtly told to us as the audience, like, oh yeah, as they're trying to sell the show to these different producers and stuff, they're like, no, we want more sex scenes. We want more lesbian sex. And they're kind of like making a mockery.
We want the main character to end up with a guy, even though she's a lesbian. You know?
They're like talking shit about Hollywood, which is so good.
Because they're like, well, the marketing team thinks it would be better if there was more sex. Or the marketing team thinks it would be better if the main lesbian character ends up with a guy. And that will sell to more people. And
also with Jenny directing the movie, Jenny being a lesbian, and most of the girls were not queer who were cast for the show. So I think that was also representative of it. There were a few that were lesbians.
Yeah.
And during the sex scene, she'd be like, it's obvious you don't know how to fuck a woman. Like, that's not how it would happen. I'm hiring a sex coach. I'm hiring a sex coach to teach you guys how to do it because this is so inaccurate. And I'm just taking all of this as like, oh, I feel like that happened with the creation of this show.
It must have.
I think it had to have, because it kind of felt like they were like showing us all this stuff that we were wondering.
Exactly.
So it was like a weird meta storyline, but I liked it.
I really liked it too.
I liked it more than Jenny's weird, dark stories in the first 2 seasons.
Oh God, the carnival stories were weird as fuck. We hate Jenny.
At first, because
the most hated character
I remember hating her, and it's been years since I've rewatched it through. And in the first season, it's like, you feel kind of bad for her because of the marina of it all. And she's a baby, like Jenny's a baby gay. She's confused. She's coming out. And then the second one, she's kind of getting weird, but you still feel kind of bad for her because she obviously has this trauma. And I'm like, was she that bad, or was I just being mean to poor Jenny? And then Jenny, once she's like confident in her skin again, you're like, oh, you are an emotional terrorist. Like, you are a horrible human being. Horrible.
Yeah, she was the worst.
Yeah. Good actress, though.
Very good actress. You know they're a good actress when you're like, is that just how you are in real life?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even seem like you're acting.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, but yeah, I feel like now we have so much more representation and things are just like less overtly sexualized.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about, because we were talking about this before, there are 6 seasons, so it's taken us a while to watch them all. And so we've been talking about it all many nights on our walks. Yeah. And when we were talking about some of the differences, and I'm like, yeah, but there's so many gay characters and gay women characters or queer women characters in shows now that are not sexualized at all. Like, they're just there, and they're just existing. I was thinking about, this is such a random example, but like Ginny and Georgia.
I know, Max.
Max is so cute. And it's like, yeah, she has the whole teenage thing of like, oh, I'm going to lose my virginity. But it's like,
it's not sexualized.
It's
though.
not
She's just like
any more than the
character.
Other girls. They're not sexualizing her because she's gay. It's just like an experience of any teenage person who's going through that angst.
Yeah, it's so much more normal now to, see gay characters, see bi characters, people just exploring, not knowing exactly what they are at the time, exploring their gender identities, even everything.
Like on The Summer I Turned Pretty, Jeremiah being bi, I felt like that was a curveball, because I almost feel like it's even less expected with guys.
So
where
true.
It's just like, oh yeah, he's just bi, he likes both. Like, most of the time people are like, what? You mean you're gay? It's like this whole with men.
People can't handle men being bi.
They really can't. So it's so nice to see this now where there's characters that are just, and like, it's part of who they are, but that's not the whole premise of their character at all. And, again, it just shows how far that we've come. And also, we still need a show like L Word or Generation Q that was not just lesbians, it was like all different kinds of queer people, that is like just a queer show. Because there's difference of a queer person in a show versus a queer show,
100%, because it's like literally everything they're talking about, everything they're doing. It's just like queer culture in a capsule.
Yeah.
Whereas like we've been talking about this, how it's been so hard now that L Word's over to go back to watching straight TV.
Yeah.
because it's like, it's just so hard to relate to. It's like you're in this, when you're watching L Word, you're in this world where it's like, yes, this is all queer culture encapsulated, all the jokes, all the storylines, just everything. And then you go back to watching straight TV where there's like a couple of gay characters or whatever. And you're like,
if you're lucky,
but they're living in a straight world.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of like get glimpses of the queer culture, but it's just like, it's just like heteronormativity everywhere. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's so hard to go back because, and that's why we started watching Generation Q after, even though we've seen it like 10 times, because we're just like, it's too hard. It's too hard because it's not just about like watching gay people. It's like you said, it's the culture. It's in the air that they breathe. It's in all the intricacies of the relationship.
The jokes, everything.
It's everything.
Everything.
It's the way of being.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's so comforting. It's so comforting to watch.
I know. It really is. It's hard to go back to straight TV.
Yeah.
Okay, so another like major thing that we love about it is just the concept of like how family shows up, how chosen family shows up. Like they really explore this topic. I mean, I feel like the whole concept of L Word is about having a chosen family. I mean, it's like that whole core friend group. It's, you know, they, in many cases throughout the whole show, they do act as each other's family. Like, you know, whether they're there for, you know, the birth of Bet and Tina's baby, or like all the breakups, the weddings, the deaths that happen throughout the show. It's just like
getting girlfriends back, grand gestures.
Exactly.
You know,
like supporting each other through it all.
Calling in the middle of the night.
Yeah. It's just like, it really emphasizes where like, obviously in the queer experience, a big part of the queer experience for a lot of people is losing your family, and that, you know, your friends can become that safety net or like become your family in that way.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I love so much about is those friendships. Like,
yeah,
that's been such a big experience in my life, is like having queer friends who are like family.
Yeah. Where
you can celebrate holidays with, or like just be there for in that way.
But that's why I think the show itself is so comforting to watch, because of the projecting and parasocial relationships of it all. You're like, Alice is my best friend. Actually, it just feels like, oh, somebody gets me. And if you are feeling lonely as a queer person, it is so comforting that way, I think. Because, yeah, it's like we have queer friends now, but I feel like they're newer friendships. They're not as deep as what you see on the show. They've obviously been friends for decades at this point. And it's like, I would also feel a little jealous, you know, where it's like, oh, I want that. Or like, I can't wait to have that, because I do feel like it will happen deeper over time. But yeah, I think like, especially when you have lost your family or have estrangement from your family around your queerness, then you crave that chosen family even more. Like that's really where it came from, because queer people have historically been rejected not only from their family, but from society, from culture, from religion, you know, from major groups. And so we've leaned on each other for support, you know,
and even if your family like loves you, but maybe doesn't fully get you, or like they accept you, but they don't fully get you. Like I feel like is more my experience in some instances with like certain parts of my family, just having that like the friends that are family to like that will understand as you're going through big moments in your life, and they understand how hard it was because you overcame something because you're a gay person, or maybe your family isn't celebrating you in the way that you would want to be celebrated. Like having that through friends who are your family has been so huge for me.
Yeah, because we are biologically wired to crave that connection, you know, and call it community, call it family, call it whatever you want. But it's like, we literally need that to survive. Without it, your lifespan is actually shorter without that community, that support around you. So yeah, it's like, it makes sense that we have that longing.
Yeah. And so while I think like overall societal acceptance of queer people has improved in the last 20 years, and therefore like more families are more accepting, I would say this is still like such a critical piece for the queer community, because still so many people aren't accepted by their families. And so it's like, I think this is going to be something where it's like, this will withstand the test of time of like the concept of like calling other gays family. Like, I love that. I love when people are like, oh, they're family. Like, don't worry, like they got you.
Because it's it's like laws can change and everything, but that's not always going to change every single person's mind. And I would say most people, the root of most estrangement with family and queerness is religion, so that's separate than laws and government and rights. And that is more a part of the culture. And it's like, you can change laws and that's not necessarily going to change the culture. It can slightly, like it definitely improves things, and it can kind of start to normalize and open up people's minds a little bit, but we can't force people to not be religious and love gay people. Like, you can't make that happen.
No.
So I do sadly think like that will be a part. I don't know when,
forever.
When that will ever change.
Yeah.
As long as these interpretations of religion are what they are.
Yeah. And one of my favorite parts about the whole show was the planet.
Oh my God.
And the way I think about it is like, the planet was like the queer living room of the house. It's like, it was the space that your chosen family would all come together and celebrate and have these moments and laughters and meals. It was like the queer living space, dining space, whatever you want to call it. And it was like, it's almost a character of its own.
It is. It definitely is. It's like, what is it in Friends? Central Perk?
It's Central Perk.
It's the same thing as that. So if you haven't seen the show, it's the same thing as that, where it's like this place that it's constantly, or whatever the diners are and all of those old shows. It's the same as that, where
like
it's like
the bar and Cheers.
It is an actual character, or in Gilmore Girls, Luke's place. It's like there are those places that it's just like
just iconic.
Just seeing it feels comforting to be there, and it's just a bunch of queers gathered around the table talking about all of their bullshit and drama and girl problems.
Literally, it's like one of my fantasies, like if it could be on my bucket list, would be able to like, I would want to go to Hogwarts, but I want to go to the planet.
I like how you have to preface first.
I want to go to Hogwarts.
First is Hogwarts.
But I really want to go to the planet. And I want to go to the planet back in like 2007, like
I want it to be when Kit owned it too.
Yes.
Because I love Kit.
When Kit owns it and you just walk in and you just like, it's like you can just like exhale. You're surrounded by all your favorite people, and like it's just would be so exciting to like go there on Sunday for brunch or something.
Yeah.
I just picture it. And that is one of the things that really has changed since the early 2000s is the number of queer bars and queer cafes and spaces that we have. So the number of queer spaces that we have, it's gone down somewhere between 30 and 50%.
Yeah. And didn't you ask ChatGPT why? Because we were guessing.
Yes.
We were like taking all these guesses why, and we're like, well, all the lesbians got old and then they stopped going out. But what did Chat say?
The two main reasons why these spaces have really declined is, number one is technology. So like having Tinder, Hinge, all these dating apps. These queer spaces used to be like how you would meet people to date, hook up with, be friends with.
It was a necessity.
Everything was an absolute necessity. And I remember like in 2009 when I was coming out, it was like, I was at my local gay bar, Lush in Minneapolis, Minnesota, best gay bar ever. And I would be
still there?
Oh yeah. Okay. 4 to 5 nights a week. Why
like, didn't you take me there a few weeks ago?
I will take you there. I love that bar.
Okay.
And it was just, it was iconic. And to me, it felt like the planet, because it was also like we would do brunch there. We'd also go out on the weekends. It was like, they just had the best parties and best events. But we didn't have dating apps back then. It was like, that's how you met girls, was you were going to go to Lush on Friday night or whatever, and you were going to meet girls. And the other thing too is, which I think is still really prominent today, was similar back then, is that we had big like monthly parties. Where it'd be like once a month, there's a party on Friday night at this, they'd rent a venue. And that's definitely still a thing today. In big cities, you can find these once a month parties.
Yeah.
But to me, it's so sad that these queer spaces have gone away. The other main reason is because of just...
not totally gone away. They've just reduced.
They've reduced, yeah. I remember it really started to happen around around 2015, a lot of these spaces start to shut down, where like all the lesbian bars in San Francisco shut down around 2015. There was 2 or 3, and at the time they all shut down. There's now multiple that have come back or resurged, new spaces that have come up. But it was a thing where like major cities with lesbian bars that have been around for 40 years all started to shut down. And the second reason why this happened is really attributed to just societal acceptance. Like you can be in, straight spaces and be out and have PDA and it's accepted. And so,
which is like a good thing,
which is
right?
a great thing.
But it's also, why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't we be accepted in society and also have a space of our own?
Well, if we want our own spaces, we have to support those spaces.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest challenge, is because
we're old,
especially lesbians, and why these spaces struggle.
Once we couple up.
Maybe we'll go out once a month,
Yeah.
but like that's not enough to sustain these. First of all, it's a smaller population.
But that's why the Planet was great, because it was like a restaurant too.
Yeah.
It really wasn't as much about the nightlife of it all. It was like a hangout. It was a restaurant.
They did all of it. They also had nightly parties.
They did later on.
Like, they had like guys' nights on certain nights of the week. They had girls' nights. So they did they had drag shows.
Yeah.
So that was why I think it was so successful, was because it really could bring and tap into everything.
But my point is
lesbian
that
bars struggle.
We would support it by going to eat there several times a week.
Would we? We don't leave our house.
Yes. I would like you to leave the house more. And this will come up one week in Who's the Problem, I'm sure.
I really wish that there was a gay bar in our town.
Yeah. Well,
there's not.
Not in San Diego anywhere?
In San Diego there is.
Yeah, but not where we are. Yeah. But that's the closest.
We'd have to drive 30 minutes to go to the Gossip Grill, which is an amazing, amazing bar.
Well, we're supposed to
go to San Diego, definitely go to the Gossip Grill.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think just to wrap things up,
we love L Word.
We love the show. It's nostalgic in so many ways. It also reminds us how far we've come, and that things were different back then, especially for our trans friends. And we have a long way to go still.
It also is this kind of like
progress.
Cornerstone in lesbian culture. It feels like a necessity to watch it if you're going to start dating women, because people will make jokes and stuff and you're not going to get them. Literally, again, Lex, our producer, we're talking about different podcast clips and she helps with some of our social stuff too. And she's like, oh yeah, like I saw this clip of these 2 random people. I think they have a podcast. It was from their podcast page and it was them at Home Depot. And I was like, what podcast was it? Because I know like all the lesbian podcasts. And she was like, I don't remember what it was called. I'll send it to you. It was the Pants Pod. Okay.
With Shane and Alice.
And I was like, Shane and Alice? Like, why didn't you just say that? She's like, I don't know. Because she's never seen the L Word. She didn't know.
Unbelievable. I used to say, like when I was coming out, one of the jokes that me and my friends had for people who were coming out was that you'd get your Girl Scout sash and then you needed to start accumulating your lesbian badges.
Your pins, yeah.
Right? And one of those lesbian badges was watching the L Word.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't watched it and you want your queer badge on your Girl Scout sash, you need to go and watch the L Word.
You got to give it a chance at least. And I do think we'll probably also cover Generation Q at some point, and maybe the real L Word too.
Because I hope we do the real L Word. We love you, Whitney Mixter. You gay icon, you.
We have
to do lore about Whitney Mixter.
Yeah, we're going to. She's on the list. But that's what I mean by it being this kind of like cornerstone of lesbian culture, where there was such a ripple effect after with the real L Word, which is now a reality show of real lesbians in LA. You know, it was like the reality version of this scripted show. So that was huge to have just a full lesbian reality show. Again, have we had one since? Like, no, I don't think so.
That was iconic.
So, and that's something lesbians can support because we are at home bed rotting all the time.
Mm-hmm. We can support queer media.
Support queer in the arts, okay? And then it also made Generation Q. It also made that documentary I told you that was like the real L Word in
Mississippi, I think.
Yeah, somewhere that it was honestly pretty sad to watch, but there's been all these iterations of it. And yeah, it's something that is obviously still talked about a lot. And you should go watch it. Period. The end.
Period. The end. We love it.
We love it.
We're shipping it. So, honey,
we can't ship it. What
Yeah,
are we
we can.
shipping it with?
I don't know. But I clearly don't know how to use it in a sentence still. Will I ever learn how? Okay, honey, who is the problem for you this week?
I forget what I wrote down. My brain. Oh, okay.
You little weirdo.
Who is the problem? Okay. So I feel like wearing underwear is a punishment. It's a punishment. I feel like my vagina is in jail.
Okay.
Nobody wants to be in jail. I want to be free.
Okay.
So my question is, am I the problem for having that feeling? Don't nod your head. Or is it the fact that underwear, like, can they make a more comfortable underwear that doesn't feel like a punishment so that I can wear it sometimes when I need to?
I love wearing underwear.
You have a weird obsession with underwear.
I have underwear on 24 hours a day except for when I'm showering.
And you probably do wear it to shower.
Wearing underwear.
No.
It makes me feel safe. I have the opposite feeling as you.
Yeah, it makes me feel trapped. It feels like a punishment, like I said. So yeah, it's like, is it me? Probably. Or is it the way the underwear is made? Like, is there a way to make it less not, what is the word I'm looking for? Just like
I don't know, because
not
like
as horrible.
the material is amazing. Like, I love my Woxers.
I'm not a Woxer girly.
Yeah, I understand that.
So maybe what I really need you guys to do is just tell me your favorite underwear. I'm also on a mission for natural fibers only, non-toxic.
Yes, that's really important.
That's not too much material up in there.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
I like constricted.
I like a skimpy thong situation.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Sometimes I will go for a boy short, like a Woxer or something, but
that'd be like to sleep in.
No, I would never wear underwear to sleep.
Okay, whatever. Fine. Help her out, please.
Help
her out. I mean, I'm cool if you don't wear underwear. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Okay, my who's the problem is L word related this week.
Okay.
And what I want to know is if it is us queers for being incestuous and creating a situation where we're all 1 to 2 degrees away from each other, for example, on the chart, Alice's chart, or is it the community's fault for being too small and we need to recruit more gays?
Isn't that kind of the same on either side? How can we not be incestuous if the community isn't small? Or
like, is it our fault for being, basically, is it the queer's fault for being too incestuous, in which we're all so connected on the chart?
No, we can't. We need more people to have a gay awakening. Like, we can't help it.
Even you and I, okay? I grew up in Wisconsin. You grew up in California. It's like, you didn't come out until you were 31 years old. And somehow we're 1 degree apart from each other.
No.
2 degrees.
2.
But because you used to make out with some girl in college.
Relax.
And she dated one of my close friends from San Francisco who hooked up with a girl that I hooked up with. So we're connected.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? I have a feeling, I think it's mostly that we're a little bit too incestuous. Like,
but what do you mean too incestuous? Who else are we supposed to hook up with if not other gay people? I would rather hook up with a gay person.
We're hooking up with other gay people,
than a
but it's
straight
like too
person.
close to home, you know, sometimes.
You were nowhere near my home. You were in Wisconsin. Like, what do you mean? We are not the problem.
All right, maybe we're not the problem.
It's the straights. The straights are the problem. You need to have the gay
awakening. The straights are the problem. We need to convert more. This is the gay agenda.
Although I have heard that the straights are upset by me constantly saying being 100% straight is not real. Apparently it is real.
People are reaching out to me as well.
Apparently
being like, I am
real.
100% straight. Like, thanks for supporting me.
You are valid. Okay? You are valid. And we are happy that you're here. And we'll be even happier when you're queer. We love you guys.
We love you. See you next week.
See you next week.